Welcome to Passionaire-magazine, the podcast where we talk about business, tech, food and travel, fashion, health and fitness, the arts and culture, where we want you to live your passion. Passionaire-magazine, the podcast. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for Passionaire-magazine, the podcast. I am really excited to bring to you a superstar when it comes to being a survivor. As someone who has survived illness with breast cancer, I know what it's like when you are going through something that changes your life forever. Now, many of you may have gone through a little something that has changed your life as well. And I hope that you are doing the same that our guest is doing today, taking that particular thing that happened and turning it into a life-changing moment to help others grow as well. Well, my guest today is H.A. Mitchell, and I cannot wait to get her on the line. Hello. How are you? Thank you so much for joining me today.
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I am well. Now, I realize that there may be some folks listening out there that are unfamiliar with your entire story, right? And I don't want to get a little bit too ahead, but I do want to ask you, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, what makes you you?
Well, I'm a lifelong trauma survivor. I've dedicated my life recently to trying to make sure that children don't suffer the same traumas that I and so many others have went through. And if they do suffer those traumas, that they don't have to suffer in silence. And really, that's just who I am. I mean, I try to make sure that anybody that I come across in life, if I can help them, I will in any way, shape, or form. I just don't want people to suffer like I have and so many others have. And so that's just me.
Mm-hmm. And I love that about the person that you have become, because so many times people are kind of beaten down by the life-changing experience, the trauma that they have gone through, and they allow it to become more than what they're able to deal with. And knowing that there is someone out there that has either experienced the same, something similar, or just someone who's willing to listen and help you through it can be the thing that is just really changes the trajectory of where you're going. So thank you for stepping into that position in life. Now, when you were a little girl, what did you think you were going to be when you grew up?
Well, this may sound pretty sad, but considering the traumas that I suffered as early as I did, I didn't honestly ever think that I would be anything. All of my hopes and dreams were pretty much shattered from a very early age, but if I could have done one thing that I wanted to do, it would have been singing. I just never thought I was good enough, and I never had the self-confidence to pursue it. So, yeah, I didn't really think that I would be anything.
Yeah. And, I've heard something similar to some folks that I have had the pleasure to interview when it comes to like social justice or leadership or community types of webinars or seminars or symposiums. And many folks that are from especially major cities have said, hey, I grew up in a neighborhood where we weren't sure if we were going to graduate from high school, because the crime was bad, or we had food scarcity. It was just that their living situation was just in a way where you're kind of right. You didn't dare to dream that far ahead. So you're so right there. Now, what made you decide that you were going to step out and become the advocate that you are now? Like, we understand that the trauma happened, but at what moment in your adult life did you decide, you know what? I'm going to take it to the next level and start helping everyone that I can.
That moment for me was the moment that I went back to my hometown where I grew up and where I was sexually assaulted with my friend. And I went looking for the guy who had sexually assaulted us. And when we knocked on the door to the house where it happened, it was like I was instantly transported back to that day. I could hear everything, I could see everything, smell everything, feel everything. And I just wanted to get out of there. And on the way home, I knew that I had to do something to make a difference, to make it to where kids didn't suffer in silence like I did, because I suffered for 29 years without telling anyone that I was sexually assaulted.
Wow.
And if I had told somebody when I was younger, I don't know where my life would have been today. I don't know whether it would have been better or worse, but I knew at that moment that I did not want another child to bottle it up and to hold it in for that long or for any length of time, simply for the fear of being reprimanded for it or being made to feel like it's their fault, because it is absolutely not their fault.
Yeah.
So
Oh my goodness, yeah. Absolutely. And I can definitely understand that would be a shift in it all. I think about how, as a counselor, I tell people that holding in our day-to-day stresses is unhealthy for us. So if we know that just those little things, like your partner or your spouse, bothering you, or doing those little things that kind of drive you crazy, or your coworkers bothering you, if those types of things can cause you to have a health reaction to it, of course an assault would as well. So yeah, we don't know what could have been, but I am so happy that you determined at that moment that you would step out and that you would not only free yourself from that, but also to help free others. That is really a big thing. And I don't want anyone to take my saying that lightly. It takes a lot of faith. It takes a lot of confidence. It takes a lot of energy to be able to step out and into the new light from something like that. So I'm just so bravo. I'm just so happy that you did, Now, what advice would you give to a person who is trying to do what you're doing? And what I mean is that they too are now at that place in their life where they are healed enough. They are in their personal freedom enough that they too are ready to become an advocate, or they're ready to open a nonprofit or a business that's assisting those that have experienced what they too have experienced. Do you have any advice for that person?
Just never give up. That work is so incredibly important. We have to come together and build each other up instead of tearing each other down. And when it comes to trauma, especially if you're going to be working in that realm, you have to understand that your message is going to help someone somewhere at some point. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but at some point someone will benefit and someone's life will be saved by something that you have done. So you cannot give up. It is imperative to keep trudging along, I guess, until you get to that point where you want to be. Mm-hmm. And don't take no for an answer. Don't let anyone try to change your message or change how you feel about your message. And just be confident and know that the work that you're doing will pay off at some point.
I think that when people hear someone say, if I can help just one person, then all of this, their time, their energy, and all of that, it has been worth it. But let me tell you, it is so true. I used to hear people say that when I was a teenager, and I went, do they really mean that? Like, I didn't doubt them. I felt as though I didn't quite understand what they meant, right? Like, those words must mean something more than what I'm hearing. And
Yeah.
you are so right. Now, being the beautiful age that I am now, you get to experience those moments where someone does say, your words help change my life. And it really does make a difference. That is a great piece of advice. Now, as many organizations get bigger, or as someone, be it that they are working from their home office, or they're a C-suite executive, as what you're doing gets larger, many times that passion that was first there may start to dampen or dwindle or kind of fizzle out a little bit. What are some things that you do that help you stay fired up, that help you stay the course, if you will, when it comes to being that voice and helping to be someone making change?
I tell everybody that I come across either about the book or about my traumas. I'm just very open and very honest about the things that I've been through, so that even if they decide that they don't want to read my book or, deal with their own traumas, at least they know that there's somebody out there who identifies with what they're going through.
Yeah.
And, that's really what it's about for me, is just talking about it, promoting it as much as I can, and making sure that other people know, hey, yeah, you may not be ready to talk about yours, and that's okay, but here's what I've experienced. And if it helps you to either inwardly or outwardly deal with your own traumas, then that means everything to me. It's not about money, it's not about fame, it's not about any of that. It's about that one person who doesn't go to bed wanting to die or wake up wanting to die another day. So yeah, that's just how I keep it fresh and going.
Absolutely. And I think that we forget that when we're talking about abuse isn't just one gender. Abuse isn't just one ethnicity, one race, one background. It's not just poor people or rich people or middle class folks. It's not just women, or it's not just tall people. That it can be someone that we know and we just don't know it. Yep. So sharing, in my opinion, at least, sharing things like this, sharing a podcast or sharing an article out is just, especially on social media, is a easy way for us to perhaps help someone that we didn't even realize needed the help know that there's someone that they could reach out to, be it in a mentorship way, or purchasing a product or a service, or just hearing someone else's story and understanding that if they could figure out how to heal, then perhaps the person listening can figure out how to heal as well. So I love that you are continuing to move forward with that. Now, I have a tendency to try to give folks something that they can leave with, right? If they are listening to the podcast or reading the magazine, that there's an article or something that someone has said that is a nugget of wisdom that they can take with them. With that being said, I want to ask you about 3 things that you do in your daily life that has completely contributed to your being your best version of yourself. It could be something really, really simple, or it could be something, that is specific to a region that you live in, but whatever it is, what are the 3 things that you do that really help you live your best?
Well, for me, mine are pretty simple. I not only deal with physical illnesses, but I deal with mental illnesses as well. And so for me, taking my medications on a daily basis is imperative.
Mm-hmm.
I have to take them every single day. Otherwise, I can go into a manic episode really quick. The second one would be I sleep as much as my body tells me I need to sleep, because I have fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. And they both just kind of wipe me out a lot, and especially in the heat and the severe cold. So I listen to my body, and if my body says, hey, you need to spend the day in bed sleeping, if I'm not working and I am able to, then I will just sleep as much as I need to. And the third and probably most important thing for me is I talk to my brother every single day. He is my sounding board. He's my go-to person to talk to about the deep things that I feel like I might be judged by somebody else for. I know I can tell him, and that he's not going to judge me because he's been through his own traumas. And so we just work to help each other heal from our traumas and talk about anything and everything together. And that really keeps me grounded and keeps me going. So for me, it's just taking my meds like I'm supposed to, listening to my body when I need to sleep, and making sure that I talk to my brother at least once a day. So
yeah. And those are such great pieces of advice. Having that support team, having someone who you can have those conversations with, right? No matter how simple or difficult, that there's no judgment there, and that they're just going to be there to listen and be that sounding board. I love that. And somebody needed to hear that it is okay to sleep if they need to. I had a conversation with a woman one time, and she says, I am so tired. And I said, well, why don't you take, a little power nap, 15, 20 minutes or so, and then, get back at it. And she said, I was raised in a household where you were not allowed to sleep unless it was you're going to bed at the end of the day. There was no such thing as taking a nap. And I said, well, I mean, you're older than me now. I think you have permission, you're an adult. I think you have permission to take a nap. And she says, I just can't. I would feel so guilty if I took a nap, but her body was just telling her to rest. So yes, for someone who really needs to hear that, that is so amazing. And thank you for knowing that you need to take your meds. There are so many people out there that are on some form of medication for whatever reason, and they're trying to tell themselves that they're fine, and they're not if they don't take their meds. Please know that it is okay to take your meds. There's no shame in being well and being your best. So thank you so much for that nugget as well. Now, my last question for you is, when it comes to empowering others, how do you feel that you contribute your voice? What do you feel that you do on the most consistent basis that really adds to a community?
Like I said, I just try to be there for anyone who needs help of any kind, be it a short-term help, long-term help. I'm one of those people that if I hear someone say that they need something and I am able to provide it, I will, without hesitation, because I know what it's like to go without. I know what it's like to have nobody in your corner, and I know what it's like to just be hopeless, and to feel like no matter what you do, you'll never be good enough. And so I just try to make sure that nobody else feels that way, that everybody in my life knows that they're loved, and even the people that I don't know. I just recently figured out how to create reels on Facebook. Now, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. Just left to my own devices, it can get strange, but and one of them, I just wanted to make a quick video and just let everyone out there know, whether I know them or not, that they're loved, they're worthy of being here, they're cherished, and that I love them, even if I don't know them. And I just wanted to make sure that they knew that there was somebody in their corner rooting for them.
Yeah.
And so that's just what I do. I mean, that's...
Well, I'm glad that you know how to make reels now, because we do live in a time, in a society where people want to watch their information, like they want to see the person who's sharing with them. And I think it's going to be important, because someone is going to not only hear the authenticity in your voice, they're going to be able to see that you are sincere in whatever it is that you're sharing, be it that it's inspirational, motivational, or just a piece of encouragement to get through the day. It's nice for people to know that someone understands and is in their corner. So I wish you continued success with that. And that might be another avenue for you to be able to build community and to help even more people. I think that is so awesome. Now, I did not want to gloss over this by any means, and you mentioned that you've written a book, so I want to make sure before I let you go that everyone knows about your book. So what is the title of your book? Where can we get a copy? And if someone wants to reach out to you, what is the best way for them to do that?
Okay. Well, the name of my book is called I Promise It's Not Your Fault. And you can get it online anywhere books are sold. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart. And on social media, the easiest way to find me is under Heather Sells. There'll be H.A. Mitchell in parentheses. And you can just send me a friend request. You can send me a message. You can make me a video. You can do anything that you need to do or want to do to reach out to me. And I will do my best to respond as quickly as possible and help in any way that I can.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on and being that voice, that advocate for others. And please, by all means, keep shining your light. You are helping so many in the world. Thank you again for being a guest on Passionaire-magazine, the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's always great talking to you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for listening to Passionaire-magazine, the podcast.